as we always do, you know, Mr. Release the drum roll. Ba-da-da-dum-dum. Yeah, let's go. Crash and Burn, the Rachel Zegler story. I know I'm a little bit late to the party on this one, but or am I? Let's see. It's 5 days ago. I'm not that late to the party, but kinda late because I am. Let's see here. We can read the comments a little bit. Ziegler, I don't need your business. Narrator, she did. we need David Attenborough for this one, you know. Read this comment. It's Hollywood, baby. Famous last word. Oh no. I played Snow White in an official Disney movie once. Yeah, darling, just put the fries in the bags, please. Yeah, I've seen this one. I've seen this one with other. This is a classic one. When something happens, then they use this one. She forgot that the thousands of young actresses with talent waiting to take her place. What an ungrateful fool. Yeah, I guess. Never confuse the size of your paycheck with the size of your talent. Awesome. You know, people are so clever in the comments. Too clever. Yeah, too much. One positive of social media is letting us know how these celebrities really are without the handlers of filtering them. True. Disney. Let's see. Disney. Why does everyone hate Snow White remake? Me. It's the internet, baby. That's true. That is really true, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. We have Nicolas Cage in the beginning, like it should be.
Lying on my bathroom floor this morning, trying to work out if the stains on my t-shirt were kebab sauce or blood, or both, when a thought occurred to me. If there's food left in a house that's burning down, there's probably a point where it's perfectly cooked. It's about time I started...
What movie? What movie, folks? I think I know what movie. And I'm gonna tell you straight away. After the drum roll.
Bruh.
Gran Turismo or Gran Torino. Maybe Gran Torino is the right word. That's the right word. Great movie. But that has to be way back now. Gran Torino. Let's see. Maybe early 2010s. 2011 maybe. Gran Torino. 2008. I was wrong. It was even before that. How old was this man then? He is over 90 now. 95. So he had to be around 80 years old then. Basically. A little bit less. No, 70 something. You know, my math is peak. It's really good. So let's go. I don't know why I got caught up in this detail though.
About time I started a new series on this channel. But what to talk about? What aspect of the film industry could I look at this time? Then it hit me.
It's Hollywood, baby.
Oh, that is brilliant, sir.
Stories of celebrities that have nuked their own careers and crashed out of Hollywood in spectacular fashion go back almost as far as movies.
You know, I thought about this. Imagine being cancelled from Hollywood. What do you need to do to get cancelled from Hollywood? I think you need to do something pretty bad to get cancelled from Hollywood, my opinion.
Movies themselves, but man, I don't think it's ever been as prevalent as it is right now. So why not delve a little deeper into their life stories, have a few laughs along the way, and maybe learn a thing or two about how not to succeed in the movie business.
This guy has been in a couple of controversies, but we're not gonna go into that this video. But you know, he's been but this guy hasn't been cancelled. That's really random because he has done a lot of stuff.
So, without further ado, I bring you Crash and Burn, a story of celebrity failure. And truly, we're starting off strong with this one. Celebrity meltdowns don't get much more dramatic and spectacular than Rachel Zegler, a girl who single-handedly transformed herself from an up-and-coming darling of Hollywood.
Yeah, how could she let this happen? How could her parents let this happen? How could the Disney Foundation let this happen? It's like this. if she only did her job and no more, she didn't involve anything else, no politics, no nothing, this would have been, the movie wouldn't have been received great anyway, but she would have gotten roles after this. I think it's going to be hard for her now to get, or it's going to be easy because everybody knows who she is. So people are going to watch it because it's her. So I don't know, but I think her career is crashing and burning, as Mr. Drinker says.
To one of the most nuclear-grade toxic celebrities in the entire movie industry. And how did she manage it? Well, pull up a chair and let me tell you a tale. Our story begins in New Jersey back in 2001 when Rachel Zegler was born to...
Okay, she's born... I thought she was older. I thought she was maybe 98 or something. A little bit older. But 2001...
Colombian and Polish parents. Damn, man, that's a hell of a combination. Anyway, she went the typical theatre kid route and starred in a bunch of stage shows where she quickly discovered a talent for acting and singing, and even started a YouTube channel where she would cover popular movie songs. Yeah. Pretty standard stuff so far, but and that...
She is good at singing. I'm not taking that away from her. She can sing and stuff. She is good for... Maybe she should do a musical. I don't know. Disney and musical are two different things, but I see them as kind of the same because, it's basic. Disney is basically musical, but it's two different styles. But, maybe she should have kept with the musical stuff. I don't know. Maybe.
Might have been as far as it went, were it not for Steven Spielberg, who in 2018 was looking to cast Latino actors for his upcoming remake of West Side Story. Young Rachel saw her chance and soon shot to the top of the list.
How could she just go... What parents does she... I want to know what the parents are doing, Are they famous or whatever? How could she land this big of a role? I want to know that. But I'm sure we will find out now.
For the part of Maria, beating out literally tens of thousands of other hopefuls in the process. Yeah. Well done, Rachel. The film would ultimately bomb at the box office, but Rachel didn't care. It had put her on the map, and now that her name was out there, she was...
But how did she get the role? We need the backstory of this.
Was determined to make the most of it, no matter who she had to piss off in the process. The first real sign of things to come was her behaviour at the 94th Academy Awards, where she was left out of the West Side Story guest list, probably because there's like 200 characters in that film. But Rachel wasn't about to take this shit lying down, and immediately began bitching about it on social media, basically bullying and guilt-tripping the Academy into not just an invite, but an actual presentation gig as well. I mean, if nothing else, you've got to respect the sheer balls of this 20-year-old nobody lecturing the biggest...
She's just going her own way. She's has a really high confidence, that's for sure. And that you need to have it if you're going to succeed in this business.
Film organization on the planet about what she's entitled to. Don't worry though, entitlement would soon prove to be a running theme of Rachel Zegler's career. While all this was going on, she'd also landed a supporting role in Shazam 2, which wasn't exactly career-making stuff.
I haven't seen Shazam 2, I've seen Shazam. I think I saw the first Shazam, and then, it was so many superhero movies during that time with the Avengers and the DC Universe and the Shazams. Whatever, it was so much, but I wouldn't have recognized her anyway, so maybe I have seen it, I don't know.
But rather the kind of easy, undemanding job that actors take for a quick payday. The thing is though, you're not supposed to say that part out loud, but that's exactly what she did during the film's press tour.
What made you want to step into this world of DC heroes?
Oh, I thought this interview was after Snow White, but it's just been taken out of context, so it's before. That makes stuff a little bit more interesting, doesn't it?
I needed a job. I'm being so serious.
Yes.
It was like she had no filter,
Don't
no
say
idea
it.
What's appropriate to say, no understanding.
But that's the problem, I think, with this lady. She says stuff that she shouldn't say. She says stuff that they talk about behind the scenes, and maybe we shouldn't say this out loud, and then she'd do it. It's like, what is his name? The new Spider-Man, the Tom, what is his name? He does that. He spoils stuff before movies lets out and everything. This is the same, but this is on another level. This is on, classified level.
that she was basically shitting on the film before it was even released.
Yeah.
A film that was literally the second role of her entire career by that point. You're not quite so high that you can look down on movies like Shazam 2, Rachel.
And people who are, you know, in the industry and everything, they don't even do that, even if they know if it's a bad movie, if you exclude the Star Wars universe, or the last seasons of Game of Thrones, you know, when the actors were like, what do you think about the last season? Like, what do you think about the last movie? That's a little bit different, but usually they don't comment about it. They just like, oh, it's gonna be great, because they have a press tour and they are supposed to say nice things about it, and they lie about it. So maybe that's the way to go. Who am I to speak about this? I'm just a guy on the internet.
Anyway, the film would go on to flop at the box office, making 2 flops in a row for Rachel, but that's okay though, because she had her eyes on an even bigger prize by this point. In 2021, Zegler
2021. And it was released in 2025. That's all we need to know, folks.
truly hit the big time when she was cast as the lead role in Disney's Snow White. The powers that be in Hollywood were clearly working to position her as the next big thing. Young, talented, diverse and confident. A mini girl boss in the making, if you will. She was going to be the new Jennifer Lawrence, the face of the next generation of Hollywood starlets that would lead the industry for the next decade.
Yeah, it feels like they were really hoping for this, because she has it all. If you see where the direction Hollywood is going and the direction, you know, stuff is going, she fits in there perfectly with, because she is talented. As you said, talented, blah, 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 you know, and has confidence and all that. But as the history tells, we know how the history is playing out. You and I know that.
It would lead the industry for the next decades. Unfortunately, with all that fame and success came increased attention. People were actually listening to what she had to say now, and holy shit, did Zegler have a lot to say. Now, you've all seen her infamous red carpet interviews, so I'm not going to subject you to another tedious montage of—
Please do. You know, this one, I need to be paid every second the movie streams. The other one, weird. No, that's another interview, maybe. And you know, the other one is just the original movie came out in 1937. Evidently so. We need everything. We need this. Make the video longer. Just make it longer. My videos are way too long, so you can make them a little bit longer.
I've seen her infamous red carpet interviews, so I'm not going to subject you to another tedious montage of it. But the point here is that her comments didn't go down quite the way she'd anticipated. For most people, this was their first real introduction to Rachel Zegler, and it wasn't a good one. She came across as arrogant, entitled and self-absorbed, casually insulting and dismissing the original Snow White, and banging on and on about the new film being made for modern audiences.
This is a problem as well, because sometimes you need to respect the source material. That's just how it is. Whatever it is, you know, you can't change history. You can't change history. You can do an interpretation of it, but then it needs to be labeled as an interpretation of it, not the same thing. You know, maybe it shouldn't be Snow White. It should be like a spin-off or something, because you can't change the characters and everything, because then it's not a remake. It's just that simple.
Fuck. Just what nobody wanted to see. Now, in her defense, I still believe that she was delivering talking points given to her by the studio, but there is a way to get those kind of points across without sounding like an obnoxious arsehole.
Yeah.
And she didn't do it. This stuff all came at the worst possible time in Hollywood history too, when the whole remade for modern audiences bubble was about to burst. The result—
But it had burst before this. Long before, if you ask me, if you ask the normal people of the world that's outside of Hollywood and outside of that stuff, you know, it had bombed long ago.
Social media firestorm, the likes of which has never been seen before or probably since. Even Brie Larson in her Captain Marvel heyday never came close to the level of backlash directed at Snow White, and
I know why. I know why. Because Snow White is such a big, iconic stuff. It was the first Disney movie. It was, a hit. It made the company produce more movies and so on and so on. It was the founder's, child. He wasn't it. He had he didn't want them to do remakes of it and stuff like that, but they did it anyway. So that's why Brie Larson didn't have that big of a role when she had roles, and maybe she had that big of a role, but the stuff like she was in is not as iconic as Snow White. I think that's just why there was such an upset about it.
And her Captain Marvel heyday never came close to the level of backlash directed at Snow White, and more specifically at Rachel Zegler. For a lot of people, she basically became the personification of everything they disliked about modern Hollywood. A spoiled, entitled, and not particularly talented manufactured celebrity elevated to a position she didn't deserve, and without the humility or
industry plant. Maybe not.
Self-awareness to even be grateful for it. Disney were forced to go into full-blown panic mode, delaying the movie by more than a year while they waited for the backlash to die down, and even putting Zegler on a humiliating, carefully stage-managed apology tour in the hopes of softening her public image. And to some extent, it did kind of work. The marginal success of the new Hunger...
It worked for the normies. It worked for those without the backbone.
Games movie in 2023 helped to maintain the illusion that she was still somewhat popular. Unfortunately, it didn't last long. The problems really began, well, anytime she opened her mouth and went off script, and they could only shut her up for so long. When the first trailer for Snow White landed in August 2024, Zegler immediately took to social media to thank her fans for it, even though the trailer got ratioed into oblivion and became one of the most unpopular in YouTube history.
Is it still this ratioed? We need to check this out. Is it still this ratioed? Snow White trailer. Let's see. It has to be this one, right? I think this is the original one. I also liked it. No, I did it. 20 million views. It's not that many views actually for this type of thing, if you ask me. But this is diabolical. I just tell you that much. This is diabolical. I'm impressed that I have it up, but then again, they earn money on it. The more views they get, the more money they earn on it. So, yeah.
But even then, she couldn't resist dropping in a political hot take, this time weighing in on the Israel-Palestine conflict. Because truly, if there's anyone out there qualified to talk about complex geopolitical issues stretching back thousands of years, it's a spoiled 22-year-old theatre brat that's never even worked a normal job in her entire life.
And probably never will have to do.
It's a bold strategy, Cod.
I hope it works out.
Pays off.
Once again, another firestorm erupted, and once again, Disney were forced to go into damage control mode, this time assigning her a social media manager, and even having producer Mark Platt fly halfway across the country to personally reprimand her and ask her to take down the post. And she fucking refused. There's such a thing as overplaying your hand, but Zegler was trying to play before she'd even been dealt her cards. The fact is, you can only get away with being this much of a headache for the studio if you're a proven heavyweight at the box office, with a track record of making serious money for the studio, and Zegler had nothing but a handful of flops and one minor success to her name. But still she didn't stop. From then on, there was just no shutting this girl up. She weighed in on everything from immigration to...
Maybe this was a strategy from her management. Who knows? We will probably not find out because it's so dumb it's almost smart.
Women's rights to the American election, and every time she opened her mouth, she drove more people away from the movie. She even managed to piss off her Snow White co-star, who funnily enough didn't share her opinion on the whole Israel-Palestine thing, and the tension between them at the 2025 Oscars.
This walkout is really funny. Look at Rachel on this one.
opinion on the whole Israel-Palestine thing, and the tension between them at the 2025 Oscars was so thick you could practically cut it with a butter knife.
Yeah.
March of 2025 would prove to be Judgment Day for Snow White and Zegler in particular. And well, you don't need me to tell you how that one went down. In fact, it became one of the biggest bombs in Disney history, getting absolutely savage reviews and losing the studio hundreds of millions of dollars. Now there was just no hiding it anymore. Zegler had basically gambled her entire career on the success of this film, and she lost big time.
Oh no! What happened? Oh no! How terrible! That's just awful! How terrible! Oh no!
So what was the fallout of all of this? Well, it seems like Zegler's career might be over before it even began.
We will find out about this in the near future. We will see. Maybe she goes on the ground for a while, maybe she doesn't. We will see.
With an absolutely toxic public image, a reputation for causing problems behind the scenes, and no major successes to prop her up, she just doesn't have the political capital in Hollywood to absorb this kind of failure. No casting director in his right mind is going to put her in a high-profile movie at this point. She's got no major film or TV projects coming up, and seems to have retreated back into theatre roles with a West End production of Evita, which apparently isn't doing too well either. There just doesn't seem to be a way
Maybe people just gonna, boycott it. Maybe even whatever she's in.
back for her, or if there is, it's going to be a very long and hard road. Rachel Zegler really was her own worst enemy in this case. She went from the
100%.
darling of Hollywood, on the verge of being the next big leading lady, to an unemployable disaster. And
She could have just, she could have been the biggest star that come out of the 2020 and forward, so to speak. But she chose to smash it. Maybe if she came out with this like before COVID or something, maybe this would have worked. Because it was, there was such an other landscape of stuff back then. And now that shit doesn't fly as good. But I don't know.
ultimately a sad footnote in movie history, a flash in the pan who died out as quickly as she began because she just couldn't learn to shut the fuck up. She really did crash and burn in the most spectacular manner, and in this case, she's got no one to blame but herself.
Yep.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today.
Be gone now. Okay, what do we think about this? What do I think about this? It's like... I've said it before and I'm saying it again. If she just had done her job and not done everything else that she did, we wouldn't have this discussion. Snow White would have been a lesser flop and she would still have work and still doing stuff. And people wouldn't be mad on her. They would be mad on Disney. That's it. If you're on YouTube later, catch you in the next one.